Are you wanting to add more vegetables and fruits to your plates, but wonder if you can afford it? Right now, you're already spending quite a bit on groceries weekly, mainly on meat, eggs, and processed foods. Yes, you're also buying carrots, apples, and other produce items, but it's not a lot at the moment. But the rising food prices, including those in the fresh produce department, have gotten you worried. Maybe you're thinking, things are going to get way more expensive if I eat plant based and start buying more fruits and vegetables. Well, it doesn't have to be. Eating plant based doesn't need to cost you an arm and a leg. Unless, of course, you go about buying plant based foods the wrong way. In this episode, I want to tell you about a key mistake that many people often make, specifically in the fresh produce department, which can end up costing you quite a bit over time. So if you're wanting to save on food dollars but still nourish your body with health-boosting fruits and veggies, grab your earbuds and join me inside this episode. I'll meet you there. Welcome to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Anna Zinn, plant-based registered dietitian and transition coach. Hi friend, do you want to regain your health with plant-based eating but feel overwhelmed and lost about how to do it? Do you feel it'll be hard to change your meat-heavy diet and impossible with working, running the home, or chasing after the grandkids? If so, you're in the right place. Here you'll find simple strategies, clear nutrition guidance, and practical tips to help you thrive plant-powered with more energy. So if you're ready to ditch the guesswork and transform your health the stress-free way, cozy up now with a hot cup of tea or listen while you walk, and let me show you how doable plant-based eating can be. Let's do this. I want to take a moment first to spotlight and thank a listener whose Apple ID is Jersey Savvy. Her 5-star review of the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast left me nearly speechless. She wrote, God sent Anna. Thanks to Anna, I'm completely plant-based. I wasn't confident in the beginning until I found Anna. Thanks to her educational podcast and my ability to email her questions, I'm able to find answers to all my questions and issues. 60 pounds lost, no more blood pressure meds, fatty liver gone, A1C at a normal level, arthritis issues at a minimum, and more importantly, energy. Wow, thank you, Jersey Savvy. I'm completely blown away by your feedback and so deeply encouraged. Thank you for taking the time to write this review to share with me how this podcast and eating plant-based has changed your health. But more than that, turned around your life. I'm ecstatic to hear that your blood pressure and blood sugars have now normalized and that you no longer have fatty liver and have less pain but more energy as well. It makes what I continue to do in keeping this podcast going to support you and others so worth it. Friend, help me support more people like Jersey Savvy and let's change the world, transforming health and lives one at a time. Please support this podcast by leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. If you have an Apple device, find the Apple Podcast app icon. It's a purple square with white circles. Open it, then search for Plant-Based Eating Made Easy. Once there, scroll all the way down past the 5-star symbols, then click on Write a Review. Leave a star rating, write your review, and then tap Send. Tell me how this podcast is helping you in your plant-based diet transition and journey towards the best health. Thank you for supporting the podcast in this way. Now let's dive into today's topic. It's a given that food prices are increasing all around us, and we're all feeling the pinch. Every year, we notice the prices on our grocery cart staples rise by a little bit, and sometimes a lot, due to a variety of factors like rising manufacturing costs, short supply, and sudden outbreaks like the bird flu virus H5N1. This bird flu virus has caused the price of eggs in the U.S. to more than double in price per dozen in 2025 compared to 2022 due to the loss of millions of egg-laying hens. It's times like this, though, that makes eating plant-based a real opportunity, not only to truly better our health, but also to save hard-earned shopping dollars. But in order to enjoy plant-based eating on a budget for the long run, there are smart money-saving hacks and strategies you need to adopt. And the way you shop needs to also change. Now, I don't just mean a change in the actual foods you buy. I also mean a change in the way you plan your grocery shopping trip. Here's what I mean. There's a key mistake I see many people make when shopping, and it's costing them money, often without them realizing it. It may not be a huge amount initially, but over time, with each trip, the money lost can add up to be quite substantial. And it's this. It's not budgeting enough time to spend on buying plant-based foods, but especially in the fresh produce department. I get it. Life is busy, and often we don't have much time to spend at the store, much less the produce department. We're in and out, grabbing the urgent items on our list and then heading to the checkout line and to the next activity of the day. Often, the fresh produce section ends up being one of the last stops on our way out, and we're barely looking at what we're putting into our cart. In fact, by that point, we might already have to deal with cranky toddlers or tweens, and so only have 5 minutes left to grab the remaining 10 produce items on our list. Have you been there? I know I have. But friend, if you really want to save money on groceries, especially when you move to plant-based eating, here's one important thing you need to do. Really try to allocate more time in the fresh produce department. And if you're tight on time, this would mean less time elsewhere in the store, like in the snacks and processed packaged vegan foods aisle. Here are a few key reasons why. In the fresh produce section, I found that supermarket staff are busy and sometimes signs are not all that clear. Not everything is properly labeled and sometimes wrongly labeled. There can even be signs showing promotions, but the promotion period has already ended. And I've found this. Sometimes there can be a promotion on certain fruits and vegetables like a bag of mandarin oranges or a head of romaine lettuce. But then, when you stop to look at the fine print and compare unit prices, you find that the single oranges themselves or another leafy green is of better value. So if you're just running in and grabbing produce off the shelves, looking at the bright yellow and red promotional signs in larger text, but not reading the fine print, you can end up losing money in the bank. You'll likely miss out on potentially great deals and could even grab something wrong and shortchange yourself. Here's an example of that happening in our own family. We like to use rutabagas, which are also called swede, in an Asian noodle soup. Well, one day we ran out of it, so I gave my husband a list of items to buy at the store, along with a few other errands like returning books at the library. Well, he finished all the errands, then came home. It was only when I was unpacking the grocery bag, though, that I noticed that he had brought back turnips instead of rutabagas. Now that's an easy mistake to make, because both are root vegetables and have a purplish tinge on the outside. But money-wise, this simple mistake did cost us. One reason I like using rutabagas is that I find they are relatively low cost, yet are nutrient-packed. More on this in another episode. But turnips are actually pretty costly in our local grocery stores. In fact, if you compare the unit prices per pound, turnips are more than double in price compared to rutabagas. The rutabagas only cost $1.19 per pound, but the turnips cost $2.49 per pound. So if my husband had hurried less and looked at produce signs more, perhaps this mistake might not have happened. This incident might be a small one, but I hope it shows you how important it is to slow down a little when you're selecting fruits, vegetables, and other fresh produce. To budget a little more time to spend in the produce department the next time you grocery shop. This way, you can truly maximize the available shopping dollars you have on fresh fruits and vegetables. It'll give you more time to look at produce signs more carefully, so you can choose better priced produce, avoid unnecessary mistakes like what my husband did, and to select the fresh fruits and vegetables more carefully so they are fresher and can last longer at home. There have been times when we brought home a bag of apples or pears from the store and then realized there was a rotten apple or pear in the bag. But we hadn't realized it when we chose the bags and purchased them because we didn't take the time to look more carefully inside the bag to check that all the fruits were in good condition. Yet it's such a simple thing to do and will give you that much more enjoyment on what you buy. So today we looked at a big mistake many make when going grocery shopping that can cost you money in your wallet. It's rushing through the store and not setting aside enough time to choose your fruits and vegetables more carefully in the fresh produce department. Over time, not changing this way of shopping can really cause a drain on your wallet. So don't rush. It's not worth it when you're plant-based grocery shopping. Now here's an action step you can take. Reflect on the amount of time you usually spend at the grocery store and at what point you tend to start shopping for fresh produce. Is it at the beginning, middle, or end of the shopping trip? Then think about how much time you would have on your next shopping trip and make sure to budget in enough time to spend in the fresh produce department to get the items you want from your grocery list. You may need to change up the way you shop and start in the fresh produce section first. Whatever it is, just make sure to give yourself adequate time to truly buy well-priced and quality produce. Remember, this is just one strategy to help you start and stay plant-based eating on a budget and enjoy your new plant-powered lifestyle. Stay tuned for more. Thank you for listening to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. If this podcast has helped you, please rate and leave a written review on the Apple Podcast app or iTunes to let me know. Nothing will lift me up more than to read your review and see how this podcast has made a difference in your life. I also pick reviews to read on this show, so your review could be one of them. Come connect with me in my free Facebook community group, Beginners for Plant-Based Diet Success. Just go to bit.ly/PB Diet Success. That's bit.ly/PB Diet Success. You can also subscribe and follow this podcast to get notified when a new episode goes live. Signing off now, this is Anna, and I wish you the best health always.